Next Door Neighbor by Peter Filler. Chapter 12, The Stargazers. Dr. Robert Moses has been the principal of Buccaneer High School for the past 23 school years. Before that, he served as a lieutenant in the United States Air Force and was a pilot instructor. He comes from wealth, and his family lives a privileged lifestyle. He dresses in fancy suits and shiny shoes every day, except Friday. Before joining the Air Force, he was educated at Harvard Law School and holds a doctorate degree in constitutional law. He's married to his beautiful, loving wife, Jane Moses, and they have one dog, a hyperactive Maltese named Shelley. They live in the beachside village neighborhood of Galveston Island, Seabreeze Court to be exact. Their home has a beautiful beachfront view of the Gulf of Mexico. Dr. Moses and Jane have a nightly tradition before bed, stargazing, in search of intelligent life beyond Earth. From their beach view balcony, they scan the skies, searching and hoping for signs that they're not alone in their suspicions. During the summer, before Jodis and Jenix enrolled at Buccaneer High School, something strange happened. On Saturday, July 20th, Dr. Moses and Jane sat on their second-story balcony and stargazed for hours. It was a clear night with no moon. They saw airplanes, satellites, and even a shooting star. Jane made a wish and shared it with her husband. "I hope to get to see something out of this world tonight, Bob." Then the two of them went inside and went to bed. A few hours later, Dr. Moses woke up from a wild dream. In the dream, he was aboard a spaceship touring the galaxy with a friendly android named Annie. He checked the time. It was 2:30 a.m., and out of curiosity, stepped out onto the balcony off their bedroom to stargaze. Dr. Moses noticed what appeared to be a satellite moving across the night sky, but it was behaving unlike anything he'd ever seen. The object seemed to be getting larger, as if it were coming closer. Tonight, it looked like his wish was going to be granted. He locked his eyes on the object, watching it as it traveled at an angle directly toward him. His heart began to race. Then he whispered to himself, "This is it. This may be my chance to have an out-of-this-universe experience." As the object passed nearly overhead, he noticed something strange. It abruptly changed direction and made a beeline straight down towards the Gulf of Mexico. What had been a small ball of light became a fiery orb, like a shooting star. Sensing something was about to happen, he called to his wife. Jane, darling, wake up. You must see this. Come here at once," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Jane walked out onto the balcony, resting her chin on his shoulder. "What's happening, sweetheart? Why are you waking me up in the middle of the night?" she asked. "Look at the sky. Tell me what you see," he said breathlessly, despite his best efforts to seem composed. Is something wrong?" she asked. "Your voice sounds weird. Are you okay?" Dr. Moses lightly brushed his lips over her forehead. "All is well, darling, but just do me a favor and look, will you?" he said with a tremendous smile. Jane frowned, sighed, and shook her head, deciding to humor him. "All right, what am I looking at?" She suddenly stopped mid-sentence and understood what her husband was all worked up about. "Oh," she said, this time breathlessly with a smile on her face. "You see it too?" he asked. The two of them took turns looking through their binoculars and watched the object transform from a ball of fire to look like a capsule. They clearly saw a space-age pod zooming downward at unbelievable speed before plunging into the water with a mighty splash. Inside, they saw what appeared to be 4 people. 2 were bracing for impact, gripping the sides for dear life. The other two looked like children, had their hands raised as if riding a roller coaster. Dr. Moses exclaimed, "Jane, darling, we must go and see what that was and who was inside." Jane replied, "Do you think we should call the police first?" Dr. Moses shook his head. "No, dear, that will take too long. We can call them later. Let's go." He rushed downstairs, opened the garage, and hitched the trailer with their wave runner aboard to the back of their Ford F-150 pickup, fresh off the lot from Galveston Ford. They sped towards the beach, kicking up dust and blowing through stop signs. They flew over the seawall, landed, spun out, and backed the trailer into the water. Without hesitation, Bob released the wave runner into the surf, jumped on, and grabbed Jane's hand. The two of them sped off into the dark water. Although it was a moonless night, they could see well thanks to the extra bright spotlight Dr. Moses had mounted on the front of the wave runner. They launched near the area where they'd seen the capsule splash down, about a quarter mile offshore. They searched the area, circling for hours, but couldn't find anything. As dawn broke, something caught their eye. Ahead, in the distance, bubbles. Air bubbles and sea foam rising to the surface. Bob sped towards the area and circled around the patch of foam and bubbles. Drawing on his scuba diving experience from their summer vacations in Cancun, he dove in to locate the source. Jane took control of the wave runner and circled while Bob dove down repeatedly. He surfaced, panting, unable to find the origin of the bubbles. Jane called out, "What do you see, Bob?" "Nothing," he replied. "Just bubbles. Whatever we saw must have sunk. Or maybe it has propulsion. It could have submerged like a submarine." Tired and frustrated, they made their way back to shore, only to find the tide had risen. Their brand new truck and trailer were nearly being swept out to sea. Just then, a Galveston sheriff's SUV and a tow truck pulled up. The tow truck quickly latched a hoist onto their bumper and began towing the vehicle out of the water as Bob and Jane pulled up onto the sand. Looking surprised, Sheriff Ross called out, "Late night adventures on the Gulf, Dr. Moses?" Bob replied, "Yeah, we got a bit carried away on a starlit adventure. We hope we haven't caused you any trouble, Sheriff Ross." "No trouble at all, Bob. Just a tad bit worried, that's all. Lucky for you, a good Samaritan happened to be walking by and saw your truck about to be swept away and called us. We got here just in time to save your nice new truck from floating off." Dr. Moses smiled, relieved. "Thank you, Sheriff Ross. Jane and I will make a generous donation to the Sheriff's Department at this year's fund drive as a token of our appreciation." Later that week, after the incident returned to normal, or so it seemed, Dr. Moses couldn't shake that feeling that something extraordinary had happened that night. He and Jane agreed to keep what they saw to themselves for the time being. There had been no official news reports about strange objects falling from the sky or capsules crashing into the Gulf. If the government knew anything, they weren't saying. Still, the vision of those four figures inside the capsule haunted him. He'd seen them, two larger silhouettes, possibly adults, gripping the sides with concern. But it was the other two that stood out. Smaller, clearly children, laughing, throwing their hands into the air as if the descent was a thrilling amusement park ride. That carefree gesture didn't align with any military training he knew. Whoever or whatever they weren't afraid. Then, the school year began. The first time he saw Jodis and Genix Parallax walking through the front entrance of Buccaneer High, something in his gut twisted. There was something about the way they moved, calm, poised, observant. Their transcripts were in perfect order, with spotless immunization records and out-of-state transfer documents. Too perfect, he thought. Almost Manufactured? He watched them from his office window during lunch periods. They didn't eat much. Sometimes they preferred to sit beneath the oak tree behind the cafeteria, heads together in quiet conversation, eyes scanning the sky more often than the ground. It all might have passed as simple teenage daydreaming, if not for the strange report from Mr. Hendricks, the chemistry teacher. "Sir," Hendricks said, stepping into Dr. Moses' office, scratching his head. "I don't mean to sound crazy, but those Parallax kids, they did something weird with the molecular bonding simulation yesterday. I don't even think what they did is technically possible." Dr. Moses leaned forward. "How do you mean?" "They ran the simulation backwards and isolated a theoretical compound that hasn't even been discovered. They said it was just a guess. A guess!" Dr. Moses' mind began connecting dots. The capsule, the two children-like figures, the sudden arrival of two overly perfect new students, the strange chemistry breakthrough. Their knowledge wasn't just ahead of their peers, it was unnatural. That evening, he told Jane everything. "I think the capsule we saw didn't sink," he said quietly. "I think it made it to shore." "And you think the kids inside were them?" she asked, pouring tea with trembling hands. "I do. And now I think they're walking our school halls." Jane didn't laugh or argue. She sat down beside him, brushing Shelley off her lap. "Well, Bob," she said, "isn't that exactly what you wish for?" Dr. Moses looked back out the balcony window towards the sea. The stars once again twinkling above. "Yes. Yes," he said softly. "But now, the real question is, why are they here?" It was late on a Wednesday afternoon when Principal Dr. Robert Moses sat alone in his office, blinds drawn, a steaming cup of black coffee in his hand. The last bell had rung, students had cleared the halls, and a strange silence now filled Buccaneer High. The kind of silence that allowed thoughts to breathe, uninterrupted. He stood and walked over to the cabinet by the window. From the bottom drawer, he pulled out a file labeled Incident Report, July 21st. Inside was a single printed image, slightly blurry, of what looked like a capsule-shaped object trailing smoke and fire as it entered the Gulf. A digital timestamp in the corner read, July 21, 2:41 a.m. It had been taken by a nearby traffic cam facing the beach. Bob had pulled the footage himself, quietly, weeks after the incident. He laid the photo on his desk and stared at it for a long while. Then he opened another folder. This one was labeled Student Science Fair, first and second place, spring term. He took out two photos, one of Jodis holding a USB-sized laser turbine, and the other of Jenix grinning proudly next to a spray bottle named the Smog Eater. He stared at both photos, then the image of the capsule, the patterns, the timing, the talent. It was all too uncanny. He scribbled furiously in a yellow notepad. July 21st, capsule splashdown, 4 figures inside. August 14th, Jodis and Jenix enroll as Parallax twins. No prior school records, no transfer paperwork. Science aptitude equals beyond college level. Uncle Stan equals suspicious. Uncle follows them to science class. He underlined the last point twice. Either I'm crazy, he muttered to himself, or something out of this world is happening, right here at Buccaneer High. A soft knock at the door pulled him out of his trance. "Come in." It was Miss Judge, the school counselor. "You asked me to drop off the school nurse's observation logs of the Parallax twins," she said, handing him a sealed envelope. He raised an eyebrow. "Anything interesting?" Miss Judge hesitated. "Only that. They've never had so much as a fever. Not even a scraped knee. The nurse says it's like they're made of glass and Steal. Never get sick, never visit. Perfect physicals. Dr. Moses slowly leaned back in his chair, one hand on his temple. Thank you, Miss Judge. That'll be all for now. As she left, he unlocked the bottom drawer of his desk and pulled out a black leather-bound journal, his Stargazer log. On the last page, he wrote, I think I may have found the visitors I've been looking for all my life. They walk the halls of my school every day. They are brilliant. They are polite. They are hiding something, but from who or what? He closed the journal, looked out his window at the fading sunlight over the gulf, and whispered, Who are you? Jodas and Genix, who are you?